Hello, this is Mrs. Babby, and we're going to be multiplying fractions today. Nothing too hard, just some basics. 5/8 times a half. I'm just going to show you simplest method, which is straight across multiplication. 5 times 1 is 5. 8 times 2 is 16. There is your final answer. So say we have 3/5 times 1/3. We'd multiply them straight across and we'd get 3/15. Then we could reduce it by 3 and get 1/5. Okay, a couple more. We could do 2/7 times 8/9. Go straight across. We get 16/63. Okay, and we look at this. This has an 8 and a 2, and this has a 9 and a 7. Doesn't seem to have anything else, so we're going to call it close enough. And one more example this way. If I had maybe 1/4 times a whole number, I would put every whole number over 1, and I'd multiply straight across and get 5/4, which is improper fraction. So how many bottoms go into the top? We get 1. We have 1 left over 4. Refreshing your mind, looking at it like this. 1 and 1/4. Remember, all whole numbers go over 1. Now, you should have more room down underneath. I'm going to erase these. Remember, straight across multiplication works all the time, but then you have to simplify. But if we have some diagonals that have something in common, let's say we have this. Instead of getting 5/40, we could look and say, hey, look at these diagonals. They have something in common. They are themselves. So we could say, hey, 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into this 5 once. So we have 1/8. Even if we had 5/40 before, and we divided by 5, we get 1/8 already on that one. Say we have 5/8, and then we had 16/20, and we have lots of things in common here. So instead of saying we have 80 over 160 and then having to reduce that, we could say, hey, can any of these diagonals go into each other? We could say, yeah, the 5 goes into a 5 once, but a 5 can go into a 20 4 times. And an 8 could go into an 8 once, but an 8 could go into a 16 twice. So now we can multiply our new numbers across. We'd have 2/4, which we could then divide by 2 and get 1/2. Another way of looking at it is, say we have 2/8, and then we have, well, let's go 5/8 and 6/10. And we could see 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 10 twice. And we look at the 6 and 8, and you're like, wait, they can't go into each other. But what little number could go into both? A 2. A 2 can go into an 8 4 times, and a 2 can go into a 6 3 times. Multiply straight across, we get 3/8, and that is already simplified. Always remember, this is a shortcut. So if you don't fully understand this cross-out thing, you could always try a few on your own. But when in doubt, you could always multiply straight across and then simplify with whatever you have to do to get your answer. And as always, this is Mrs. Babby, and I love math. Do you see? And cross foot.